All right, hello everybody, Shawn Poe here, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and today we are going to go over some blueprint training, how to get started as a distributor into Lifevantage. And this is taken, directly from the kit that's actually in your distributor kit, your business box that you get when you sign up with Lifevantage. And we just want to break it down and go through the steps and how we train on them, whether you're new in the business, you're resetting your business, or you're trying to learn how to train somebody else. This is what we are going over. So let me get it up on my screen. And we have this out there. It will be posted in the file section on pages like our Facebook page, One Person Big Difference. And when we get the website up and live, it'll be out there. But if you need it, you can always email or Facebook message Michelle or I, and we'd be more than happy to get this out for you. So this first page is really just that. It's an intro page. Talking about this being a step-by-step guide designed to help you build your business. This business is not complicated. It's very simplistic. That doesn't mean that it's easy, but there's not a lot behind the basics of building your Lifevantage business. And these steps are critical. Every single person that we've known that's hit the elite ranks in the company, from a 10,000-foot view, they've really done the same thing, and it's following this blueprint. It's not going outside. I know when I first got involved with Lifevantage 6.5 years ago, there were some areas that I tried to get creative in, Michelle as well. And when we really started to plug into the system and follow the blueprint, that's when we saw our business really start to grow. So I would highly suggest you take it from us and people like Kerry Dickey and Stu Brody, who have been doing this for decades in this industry, that the system that is used is proven, and all you need to get to get what other people have is do what they've done, and you repeat as necessary, as often as necessary, until you get the results that you want. So the first page here on as far as the material is getting started, and sitting down with a new distributor and writing out, what their website is for the back office, what their distributor ID is, their goals, some of the pay, and who their partners are. So that first box in the upper left side, setting up your website. Once you enroll the distributor, they immediately get their distributor ID. And what a better place than right here to start with, just jotting that down for them so they have it in a place until they have it memorized, or they they find somewhere else to keep it. So start with that, get their ID down, because they're going to need that each time that they log into the back office. And that's the next link there, is sitting down with them and showing them what the back office is. You can go to lifevantage.com, or you can go to this evo-lifevantage.my virtual office, my voffice.com. I always go to lifevantage.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, it'll say login, or if you're on your mobile phone, in the upper left, that little hamburger icon, if you click on that, you can log in from there. Michelle always logs in from our replicated site. So one of ours is michellepoe.com. Or I'm sorry, michellepoe.lifevantage.com. Another one of our business centers is biohack.lifevantage.com. So you can always log into your back office from your replicated website, and that's what you're putting down next for them with your distributor, is going actually into their back office and go to the services tab, then business site admin, and you can put in if they want to change whatever that they currently set up. Most of the time people are putting something with their name or something that has to do with the business itself, and set it up in there so that they know where to send customers and distributors, and where they can set up shopping carts to get people set up in their business right away. So that's the very first things that I would do, you guys, is get their ID down, get them into the back office, and setting up their replicated website and knowing what that replicated website name is. And it's always going to end .lifevantage.com. The second part that I'm going over on this page is how to qualify to be paid. And we teach over and over again that $200 plus in personal volume is what it's going to take to maximize our compensation plan. So go through, what did they set up their auto ship for? Explain to them the importance of having that $200 plus auto ship. And if they aren't up to that $200 mark, your goal is to get them offset by customers that they directly bring in within the first calendar month to ensure that that second month they have enough PV to maximize the compensation plan. It used to be when we signed up in 2011, you guys, it was $40 at a time because Lifevantage only had Pro Tandem. That was our flagship product. That was what we built our business off of. Now with the additions of the different stacks and having, you know, Nerf 1, Nerf 2, the Omega Plus, having the probiotic, it's pretty easy for somebody to get to that $200 mark, Axio, the physique line, the skincare system. So finding out what they're going to use personally in their household and kind of jotting it down here and seeing what it adds up to. If they're only at that $100 to $199 PV mark, we know that that's going to limit them on the compensation plan when they bring in new customers and new distributors. Instead of getting paid 40%, they're only going to get paid 30%. So they're having a reduction in pay by 25% if they're not up to that full $200 mark. So make sure you're educating them on the importance of 200. You only have to have 40 of that coming from you, and the rest can be offset by customers. But again, I'm telling you, with the product line that we have now, it's not too hard to get somebody up to those levels if they're utilizing the products and being a product of the products. Now, if they're under $100, if they've only auto shipped for $40 or $70 or $90, or if they don't even have an auto ship, that's an issue because they will not get paid. And that's the worst thing that you could have set up when somebody starts a business, is they're not going to get paid when they bring in new customers and new distributors. So if neither one of these boxes is checked, that they're not either at 100 to 199 or 200 plus, they're in jeopardy of not getting a commission check. Okay, so these are very, very important first steps to walk somebody through, and it doesn't take a ton of time, but go through these steps with your new person. Now, the short-term goals, this is about getting your business started right away and recommending establishing clear goals to that new person. And how fast do they want to go? So ask questions like this. You know, how fast do you want to get your money back? We're spending $1,250 today on the Platinum Pack and the starter kit. You know, do you want that back in a month? Do you want that back in a week? Do you want that back in 6 months? Depending on how fast they want it back, depends on how many people we need to get this in front of and how many meetings we need to do right away. Now, then you can start to go further and start talking about, okay, let's set up short-term goals for hitting Pro 1, Pro 2, Pro 3. If somebody signs up with the Platinum Pack, you guys, that box is checked right away. I am a Pro 1 today because they've already got $1,000 in commissionable volume. They've hit Pro 1. And then start looking at, I'm a Pro 2 buy. Let's say they signed up today. It's the middle of November right now. They have 15 days, 2 weeks to build their business. If they got in another Platinum Pack and a Gold Pack into their business, they could be Pro 2 by the end of the month if they started with the Platinum Pack. And then look at Pro 3. Maybe their goal is to hit Pro 3 by the end of January because they want the Pro 3 Frenzy money. That's a promotion that's going on currently in the company where if you hit Pro 3 by the end of January of 2018, you're going to win, or not win, but they're going to give you an extra bonus of $250. And if you maintain it in February or any of the months that this promotion's going on, if you hit it in November, maintain December or January, you get another $250. So that might be a great goal for a new person, is getting them to Pro 3 really quick, maintaining for a month, and adding another $500 onto their plate. So those are the first things that I would walk through. On the right side of this page, we're talking about the why, your goals behind building the Lifevantage business. And they truly are everything, because there's going to be days that it seems like all you're getting are no's. And you'll remember I said that this is a simplistic business. That doesn't mean it's easy, but it's simplistic. And to get through the mental mindset, which is 80% of this business, some days you've got to have that driving force behind what you're doing, your why. You need to know what it is. And the next page, we're going to really get into what the why is and talking about the why. But I want to introduce this on the very first page of getting started because of the importance. And then there's a blank page on the next that will talk about the different things that you want to examine with the person that you're sitting in front of. Now, the bottom right-hand corner of this is your support team. Introduce them immediately to as many team members as you possibly can. And I would say at a very minimum, it's 3 people that you're trying to get them introduced, preferably on the phone while you're sitting down with them right there. But if you can't, at least writing down your information as far as phone number and email, and then 2 of your upline that you closely work with. So Michelle and I, for example, we might be putting down here Nikki Elsing and Joanne Shear, or we might be putting down one of them and Dr. Mark Gordon, or we might be putting down Carrie or Maria. We're probably not going above, 4 or 5 levels above us, but we're writing down people that they can interact with and do this business with. This is a business of doing it as a team. It's not an individual effort, and they need to know who their team members are. We have some people that are really great about sending out introduction emails. Those are important. They get to know people. I don't check my email very often anymore. Text messaging, I check that pretty regularly. So I see that way before I'll see an email from somebody. But if you can schedule a time with your upline with 2 or 3 of them where you're saying, hey, I'm sitting down with this new person here tonight at 7 o'clock, who's available to just click on and quickly introduce themselves and get to know this person, and reach out to your upline, work with them, and see who you can get introduced to your new team so they can feel the energy of the team. They can feel the importance of what we have our hands on, and people that have had success and have been in the business for a little bit. So that is page number 1. Do we want to stop and you guys can unmute, ask me any questions that you have on this before we get into a more detailed version of going through the why with somebody? If we're good, we're good. All right, I'm going to assume we're good, so we'll keep flying through here. The second page, as I was just saying, is the why. Now this is blank. It's left blank intentionally because I want you to have an area that you can really get into the reason behind. And there's going to be 2 different things that I would do with this page. One of them would be also printing off the income disclosure statement, and you can get that from lifevantage.com. Go down to the bottom right, look for income disclosure or earnings claim statement, and look at the ranks from Pro 1 to Pro 10 in the company, and ask somebody what they're looking for financially out of this business. If you could hit one of these levels in the next 12 months, where would it be? If you could hit a level on this income disclosure statement in the next 3 to 5 years, what would that look like? Because the roadmap does look a little bit different for the person that's only looking for $500 residually, as opposed to the person that's looking for $5,000 or $20,000 or $50,000 a month. And so you have to understand the financial reasons that somebody wants to do this business and what they're looking to get out of it. And then we can start to roadmap with them. And then the personal why. We hear this over and over again. Your why should make you cry. And really getting into, okay, you've joined Lifevantage. What is behind, the purpose of you doing this? Is it because of the health benefits? Is it because of impacting other people? Is it because of the financial side? What is it that's going to drive you on a day-to-day basis to do what you need to do on the days that you don't want to do it? That's what we're looking for here. And the more questions you can ask and the more onions you can peel behind this section, the more you're going to set somebody up for success. Because then when it's minus 40 out here in South Dakota and they don't want to go to a meeting or they don't want to go to a training, you can bring them back to their why. Or they don't want to sign up for the next Elite Academy or global convention or something like that. We can bring them back to the purpose behind why they're sacrificing, and what they're willing to give up. And that's another thing that I would walk through a new person right away here, is talking about what are you willing to sacrifice and what are the unnegotiable items in your life. There's some people that, you know, they're willing to work 7 days a week, and they're willing to work 12 to 14 hours a day, you know, with what their day job is, and just burn the candle at both ends. And there's other people that they have very strict guidelines framing when they will and they won't build this business. Some people, they won't work on Sundays, so understanding that. Some people, you know, it might be limited to a Tuesday and a Thursday night for 2 hours. So understanding what they're willing to sacrifice and what they're not willing to sacrifice, and asking more and more questions. So for an example, at LVAs, when I train on this, I get somebody up. I get somebody that's telling me that they're looking for financial change in their life, and I'll really start to peel the onion on that. And typically, it goes something like this. I'll ask them, okay, you know, why are you doing this business? And at first they'll say, because I want to be debt-free. And then I'm getting into, okay, you know, if we can be open and honest with this and have an adult conversation, it's really going to help both of us out. Could you tell me, or would you tell me approximately how much debt you're looking to wipe away? And, you know, sometimes it ranges from 10, 15,000. I've had people tell me, you know, 80, 100,000 of debt. And then we get into, okay, I want you to tell me, you know, what that feels like right now. When you think about having $80,000 in debt or $50,000 in debt, whatever that they're telling you that they have, you know, what does that feel like? What is the emotion behind it and the stress behind that? And get them to think about it and visualize it and create that emotion. And then what you want to do is walk them down the path of the income disclosure statement and where they told you that they want to be. And let's say they say, okay, I want to be at, you know, Pro 7, which the average Pro 7 is making over $10,000 a month. And we can get them there in the next 18 months is the plan that we discussed. And now we're looking at, okay, in 18 months from now, we're looking at creating an extra $10,000 plus in your life. Now, if we took that money and we kept reinvesting it into yourself, if we kept reinvesting it into what your ultimate goal is and that debt reduction, how fast could we wipe away that $50,000 of debt? You know, in 18 months from now, if you are getting that mailbox money of $10,000 a month plus on the 15th, guess what? In 6 more months, you've already paid that off. On the 5th month, you paid it off. And guess what happens on the 15th of that 6th month? You have another $10,000 residual check. And this is the process that you start to get them to dream, to open up their mind and to expand into, okay, that part of it's done. The burden side's done. What are you feeling? What does it feel like? You know, what emotions do you have when you wake up and you get that check for $10,000 and it's not going to pay off debt anymore? What are the luxuries in your life that you've wanted to have but you've never spent the money on? What sorts of vacations have you always dreamed of doing, and how much would that cost you to actually take? And this is where you're going to see somebody's face absolutely light up, because inside their mind, they don't know the difference between reality and dreaming. They don't. And it creates the exact same emotion and the exact same physiological changes in their body when they're thinking about it as if they have it. And if you can make it concrete enough that inside their head they think that they have it, they're going to be willing to bust through walls and move mountains to get there. And so the further we can peel this onion and really get into this, the better. What I would do is, after they've given you that dream list of a few things, is take it a next step further, and then a next step. Okay, on the 7th month after it's paid off, you have another $10,000 check. What are you doing? What sort of people can you contribute to nonprofits that you could write a check to? How many people could you impact just by opening up your wallet at this point and contributing to their lives? What other sort of luxury items that you've never been able to get into your life would you want to treat yourself to? You know, what other things would you want to do? And some people, they'll continue to dream and build. Some people, they'll kind of get stuck because they haven't ever truly thought that they would get to that point. and we're going to continue to grow their businesses. So we're not stopping at that Pro 7 money, right? We're going to continue to train people and teach people. And then all of a sudden, think about if it went from $10,000 a month extra on the 15th to 20. Get them to really open up their minds, you guys. I know that that money sounds crazy to a lot of people, but I'm telling you, it can happen in a 3 to 5 year period for people that really buckle down and they put in the necessary effort to follow the system and do what it was designed to do. Get this in front of a minimum of 15 new people a month for yourself. Do 15 meetings. Our lives were upside down, honestly, for the first 18 months, but we were willing to sacrifice that because we had a burning desire in our life to get me out of the corporate environment. And that's what I tell people. It takes 3 things in this business to have success. You have to have that burning desire in your life to change. You've got to be coachable. You've got to be teachable. And you've got to have a good work ethic, okay? If you have those 3 things, I don't care what your background is. I don't care what your prior experience is. You can have success in this business. Man, it's already 23 minutes in. This is crazy. I hope that this is beneficial for you guys. Do you have any questions up to this point? And honestly, ask away. I want this to be interactive. I want you to be able to get the most out of this as possible. And if you're questioning it, chances are somebody else is as well.
Hey, Shawn?
Yes.
I don't have a question, but this is fire right now. This training is so lit right now.
Thank you, Andre. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, buddy. And you know, this is my passion in doing this business, because Michelle and I, we would not have had the success that we've had without people like Maria Williams and Carrie Williams and Dr. Gordon and Carrie Dickey and Stu Brody pouring into us, because we didn't have the first idea of what we were doing, you guys. We didn't know the first thing about network marketing. We didn't know the first thing about nutraceuticals, but we knew the 3 things that it would take to have success. And we had the burning desire, we were coachable, and we had a great work ethic. We had an outstanding work ethic. And that's really what separated us out, was we kept doing it over and over and over again, not looking for the immediate result, but looking for the long-term result. And here's 2 things that Stu Brody told me when we first got involved. He said, Shawn, when you first start network marketing, and I don't know how long this is going to go, but at first it's going to seem like you're drastically underpaid for the amount of effort that you put into your business. However, if you do it long enough, there will be this tipping point in your business that you're going to be so drastically overpaid, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. And so that always stuck in the back of my head. I can do anything long enough. If I know that the outcome is going to be extraordinary, why wouldn't I sacrifice to get there? Because everything great in life takes sacrifice. Are you willing to sacrifice? That's the difference. Are you willing to put in the necessary effort and work long enough to get where you want to get? It's not easy. If anybody told you this business was easy, they lied to you, okay? It takes work. It takes dedication. It takes being frustrated, but you pick yourself up and you continue to do it, because I'm telling you, there isn't a better business model that I've seen put in front of me in 40 years. I love business. I love creating things. I love doing different ventures. We have 3 different companies that we operate today, and I'm telling you, this is by far the best way to do business that I do business, because you're able to help other people both on the health side, financial side, and personal development. It's absolutely nuts. And we all have a direct incentive to help each other out. What else? What else? What do you guys got before we move on to databasing? We good?
How do you get people over the fear of the network marketing or the doubt of the network marketing?
You got to build your belief, okay? So I came into this very, very, I would say, with a negative stigma attached to network marketing. I did not believe it was an industry, first of all, that you could make good money in. And there was no necessary reason for me to have that, but that was something that I attached to network marketing. What built my belief and got me rock solid on this was going to the events. We went to the global convention 2 weeks after we started, and I promise you our business would not have gotten to the point that it did within the first 12 months without us attending that event, because we saw that the company was the real deal. We saw that this wasn't a fly-by-night thing. We saw the hearts and we saw the minds of the leadership within the company and the corporate staff. So above all else, the number one thing to get posture, I think, is attending events. And it starts with local events. Then it moves to the regional events for like LVAs and training academies. And then on a three-time basis throughout the year, the elite academies and the global conventions. Once you become, this was said by Herbert Harris, he said, once you become bazooka proof, not just bulletproof, bazooka proof on the business, there isn't anything anybody can say to knock you down from believing that what we have on, our hands on is golden. And that takes some time for some people. And it did take some time for me. It took me probably 2 years to get comfortable with telling people I was a professional network marketer. Okay, I fell back to I was a banking professional, or I worked in the student loan industry or corporate treasury. I fell back on that because I was not bazooka proof. But I'm telling you, event after event after event, slowly my posture got bigger and bigger and bigger. And as we had more success, and I proved to myself that it worked exactly like Stu Brody told me, exactly like Kerry Dickey told me, that's when we got to this point. I promise you, there is not anything anybody's going to say to me today that I'm going to go to bed tonight and be like, you know, Michelle, we wasted the last 6.5 years. You know, this truly doesn't work. The system doesn't work. You know, they're full of it. This is a giant pyramid scheme and the products are junk. But you have to get your posture there. For us, it was pretty easy on the product side because we were being told the science by a cardiologist. You know, when he stood up there and Dr. Gordon said, this is published in the American Heart Association's journal, there isn't anybody that's going to argue that the American Heart Association isn't a valuable resource, right? But it was the business side that took me a while to get that posture and understanding network marketing. And I'm telling you, more and more the business world is shifting towards this type of business structure. If you would have told me when I got my security licenses, and if you would have told many, many other analysts and portfolio managers that brick and mortar stores would be evaporating in the blink of an eye in 2017, and stores like JCPenney's and Sears that have been around for over a century would be disappearing and on the verge of bankruptcy, people would have said you were crazy. Nobody would have thought back then that Radio Shack would not exist today, and we're seeing more and more of those stores go into bankruptcy and shut down all the time. If you go to a mall, does it look the same as it did in 1995 or even 2005? It doesn't, and it's going to continue to lessen because people are moving away from the brick and mortar way of doing business, and it's going more towards that social media aspect or person-to-person distributors. And you know, look at Amazon, for example. What is Amazon? It truly is just a giant network of distribution centers that send products right from a distribution center to a person's house. That's all it is. And it has a very, very connected group of people that transfer these items. And that's exactly what network marketing does, is we've cut out the middleman. We're not freighting things to a giant box store to sit on a shelf for somebody to go into and pick up. We're shipping it directly to somebody's house. Does that help answer that? I think that came from Nate.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Perfect. Who else? What do we got? We're good for step 2. Thumbs up. Perfect. All right. And normally I do this information in 4 hours, so we'll see how fast I can get through it tonight. I'm just kidding. So databasing, but I want you guys to have a good grasp on this, and I really want you to use this as a tool, and for future people coming into the business to say, okay, I can take an hour and a half or 2 hours out of my life and truly understand up front how to go through these. You know, I need to look and see how many pages we have here. There's not a ton. So 12 pages. How can I take these 12 pages to transform my life? Okay, so let's see, page 3, databasing, step 2, a list of who you can help and why. And the page after this, page 4, is blank, and page 5 is blank. So out of those 12 pages, I've given you 3 blank pages already. Page number 2 is the why. We're filling that in with them. And then 4 and 5 are just getting down to their database so that they can have a quality list of people that they're getting ready to contact right away. And so starting this list is truly going to be the basis of their business. And we want to help them do this, because if you just send them off to do this on their own, chances are they're not going to have a very extensive list, or they're not going to do it at all. If you do this with them and get them to write down 80 names, it's going to make a big difference that first night of that first month of their business. And ask them, don't prejudge. All I want to do right now is write down as many names that pop into your head. You don't have them write it down. You just tell them to shout out the name and you write it down for them. And start this list, okay? And after about 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes, they're probably going to run out of names. And so that's when we're using the memory jogger within the more detailed blueprint, or just from your head. Okay, tell me about people that, you know, parents that your kids go to school together, or tell me who your dentist is, your chiropractor. Tell me who your financial advisor is, people that you went to school with, you went to high school or college. You know, just try to get them to think out of the box. Who do you go to church with? And again, we're not asking them for anything more than a name. And if they can't get to 80 and you've gone through kind of this memory jogger, have them open up the contact list in their phone and show it to you and start scrolling down. Why didn't you tell me Aunt Nancy's name? Why didn't you tell me about Uncle Bob? You know, why aren't they important enough to share this information with? And this isn't a list, again, that we're immediately jumping down and sharing the information with them, the business or the products. All we're doing is creating a list, okay? And then down here on step 3, okay, part B was don't prejudge, write down everybody. Step 3 is adding a second column. So we've got the name written down here on the left-hand side of the screen. On the second part, write down the why behind it. Why did they pop into your head? And this is important because it's going to help us with the invite. So once you have that list down and you've gotten names, I would at least fill out page 4 with names, 40 people. I would hopefully get down here into page 5. If you can go beyond that, that's even better, because the bigger the database, the better for somebody's success. Because are they going to be great at doing this right away? Are they going to be great at the invite? No, I can see people's heads shaking. No, they're not. Are they probably even going to be good at it? Probably not. They're probably going to be pretty bad at it. You know, Kerry Williams always told us, be bad before you're good and good before you're great, but eventually you'll get there. Well, if somebody's database is only 20 people and they share with 18 people and 18 people tell them no, are they going to be down or are they going to be up about it? They're going to be pretty down. They're going to be pretty down, right? But if their list was 80 people and they went through 20 and they still have 60 more people to talk to and they've gotten better, it's not as daunting. So as many as you can get, the better. And then we're going back to this why. Okay, now I want you to tell me about these people. Okay, you wrote down Bob. You had me write down Amy. You had me write down Lisa. I want to talk about the why. If you were to share this business with them today, why would it be important? So for Bob, I wrote down heart problems, okay? Let's say Bob's somebody I went to college with, and everybody that I met in Bob's family over the past 20 years has had some sort of heart disease, it seems like, by the time they're 40. And that's why I thought of Bob, because I know that the science that like Dr. Gordon shared with me and that's written in the American Heart Association is valuable to him. He's got to hear it. Then they wrote down Amy. And Amy's somebody that when they think of business, Amy's name comes to their head immediately. So we're writing down she's an amazing businesswoman, or everything she touches turns to gold, something like that. We're writing down why we thought of them. Lisa, I love hanging out with Lisa. I love doing life with her. She's somebody I want to travel the world with. And then there's going to be some people, you guys, you don't have a reason why. You just wrote down the name because it popped into your head. And don't worry about those people that you don't have an answer to this why yet with, because this is a relationship business and you want to get back to having that established relationship before you introduce this to. So if it takes 2 or 3 phone calls or maybe some messaging on Facebook to see what they're up to, ask them questions, how they're doing, what's been going on the past 20 years that you haven't talked, things like that. But I promise you this, if you ask enough questions, you eventually will have a reason to write in here on the why. And that's going to be extremely beneficial to your database. And your database, you guys, it never goes away. I don't like it when somebody tells me my database is done, it's dried up, I don't have anybody else to talk to. Because here's the reality. If you treat this like a business and that you're in it for the long haul, guess what we had to do after the first year in business? We were already at Pro 7, but we had to go back and apologize to a lot of the first people that we talked to because we weren't good at it and we didn't do it right and we didn't follow the system. And so we were cleaning up some of the messes that we had created. For some of them, it just wasn't the right time in their life to hear the information. They weren't interested, okay? But if we took them off the database and we didn't go back to them, then our database would shrink. But I want you to think of this as a living, growing document all the time that never, ever evaporates. The only time somebody comes off your database is when they come in as a distributor. Even your customers should maintain on your database, and you're reaching out to them now and again and updating them on what's going on. Hey, Bob, you know, I know that we talked a year ago and you wanted nothing to do with this. I just wanted to call you up and kind of update you. There's been 3 studies that came out in the last 12 months. They're going to blow you away. You want to hear about them? And they'll tell you yes or no. You know, it might be another 12 months before you talk to them. Or, Amy, you know, I know your plate was full in July when we talked, but now the kids are back in school and you know, the weather's turning. I'd really like you to come to a meeting. Or Lisa, you know, you've been a customer of ours on the Essentials Pack for the last 6 months and you're telling everybody about this. It's crazy that you're not doing this as a business. Let's just sit down and have a cup of coffee and go over that. Or apologizing. Hey, when I first exposed this to you, I had no idea what I was doing and I really screwed it up. I want you to know what you said no to so that you have the right information to make a good choice for you. Okay, and so if we're doing those things, your database is never going away and it's only increasing. Have this with you everywhere you go. Have it with you when you go to bed at night. And if somebody pops in your head as you're getting ready to go to sleep, turn over and write their name down. Or if you're driving around on the weekend, keep it in the seat. And you know, when that random person pops into your head, I'm telling you, God puts people in front of us for a very specific reason, and sometimes we don't know what it is. So just jot their names down and then call them up and ask them what's going on in their life, you know, that they popped into your head and you just wanted to check in with them and see what was going on. Ask lots of questions. Okay, so this database, that's 2-3 pages of this, and we're on to step 3. But before we do that, you guys have any questions you want to ask on the databasing section? We good? Chug some Axio. I better have some water. I had some water here somewhere. I get going. I'm excited. That headache went away. All right, so inviting. So this is your roadmap to sharing the information. And the important parts that we want you to remember on this is be the messenger, not the message, right? We're using other tools, things like the ABC video, third-party validation, things like that to share the message. We're just being a bridge to connect people, and be positive and passionate. If you're coming into network marketing and nutraceuticals with no experience like Michelle and I did, the thing that really helped us was our excitement and our passion. We might not have been able to answer any questions that people had, but they would not walk away thinking, oh my gosh, you know, they have no belief in what they just told me. They knew for a fact that we knew where we were headed with this and why we thought it was a big deal. And we got them connected with other people, and some people joined just based off of your excitement. You wouldn't believe how many people we talk to when people call us up and they introduce us to their new distributors, as we told you to do here. Get in touch with your support team, and we ask them why they joined, and their answer is because they were excited, because they were passionate. They really believed what they were telling me. It's person after person after person. And people can feel that. They'll feel when you're down. They'll feel when you're up. You want to do this business when you're excited and when you're positive. So if you're not in that mindset, you really want to get there prior to sharing this information. And that might look different for different people. Get on that, you know, hairband song from 1982 that just pumps you up. Or, you know, do yoga or meditation for a little bit to get you in the positive mindset. We've been going through Tony Robbins for a year now to work on our mindset and being able to snap into the positive state of beauty that we want to be in. And then you want to send them somewhere to get the information, right? We're inviting them and we need a place to share. So now with this invite, what I would do is use your invite to really fill in the blank. and make it a generalized invite that you can use with just over and over again, that kind of rolls off your tongue based off of their name and the reason why you want them to see, or why they need to see, the ABC primetime invite. So a couple things that you could do. Let's go back to the 3 people that we had up here on the database, Bob, Amy, and Lisa. So for me, what I like to do is I like to tell people that there's this ABC report that's going to blow their mind, but I have to make it about them. So I could call Bob up and say, Bob, dude, I've known you since we were 20. Everybody you've introduced me to in your family seems like they have some sort of heart problems by the time that they're 40. There's this ABC primetime investigative report. You got to check it out. It's going to blow your mind. Okay? And then for Amy, I'm using the exact same invite, but I'm making the why different, specific to Amy. So I'm talking to Amy. Hey, Amy, you know, I've known you for the past decade, and you're honestly, you're one of the business people that I look up to most. You're an amazing businesswoman. It seems like everything you touch turns to gold. There's this ABC primetime investigative report. You got to check it out. It's going to blow your mind. Lisa. Hey, Lisa, what's up? You know, I love traveling with you. Our kids have been going to school together for the past 5 years. I just love doing life with you. There's this ABC primetime report. You've got to check it out. It's going to blow your mind. You guys, I didn't say anything in there that's going to lead them to network marketing, to say, no, I don't. Is that one of those pyramid schemes? She doesn't know what I'm going to share with her. Bob doesn't know what I'm going to share with him. All they know is it's important for them to see it because of that specific reason. And you're going to get a lot less hesitancy to getting that information in front of them so that they can see it. So that's one way. We built this a lot over the phone because early on, you know, social media wasn't what it is today. Michelle does a lot more via Facebook Messenger now than she does over the phone, but you can use those in text messaging. You can use them in phone calls. You could use it on Facebook Messenger, whatever it is. Make it into your words and use it as kind of like a Mad Lib sort of thing where you're filling in the blank. Okay, you've had that conversation with somebody, and maybe they were one of the people that you didn't have a why for, and it was blank, and you're trying to fill it in, and you've been asking them questions, and all of a sudden they talk about how their knee's been hurting for the past 6 months, and they've tried all these different things and it didn't work. And maybe it's an invite as far as, if I would you. You know, Andre, you just told me your knee's been hurting for the last 6 months. If I had something that potentially could help with that, would you want to know about it? Okay, again, we're making it about them. We're not talking about Dr. McCord or nutraceuticals or, you know, biohacking or anything like that as far as getting this initial information in front of them. And we're just inviting them to see the information and finding out where they can go from there. And then what we want to do is talk about telling the story. Okay, if we can train somebody to be able to tell the story and become an amazing storytelling, this will separate them out from most people. And there's 3 different stories you want to become an expert in. First of all, your story. Second of all, the company story. And third, the business story. Everybody's individual story is going to be a little bit different. And how you can work through them with their story is on the right-hand side there, and talking about their background. What do you currently do? And what don't you like about what you currently do? What's the pain behind it? And then what have you found? What's the solution? How do you feel about the future and where it's headed? So for me, for example, I have there on that example 1 is I used to work corporate treasury for Citigroup. And you guys, I hated the fact that the higher I climbed the corporate ladder, the more time that I was expected to be at work. And what I found was that this business model offers me freedom. It freedom to be with my family more. And I was able to walk away from the corporate world. I want to help as many people get time freedom back. And where this is headed in the next 3 to 5 years is absolutely crazy. Okay, the second portion is more like where Michelle was coming from. Okay, she used to be in the mortgage industry and she loved the fact that she was 100% commission. But what she didn't like, that every single month it started back at 0. You had to rebuild it every single month. There was no security in what you had your hands on. And what she found in this business model was it does offer true residual income, and you get paid over and over and over again for work that you did in the past. And nobody knows about this technology yet, and we're excited to help as many people get financial freedom too, or get home with their family, get their husband back from their corporate job they don't like, or to be around their kids more and really watch them grow up instead of letting somebody else raise their kids. So those are the ways that you can walk somebody through what their story is, and this evolves. It doesn't stay the same. Our story now is very different than what it was 6 years ago. 6 years ago, we had the same background, we had the same pain, but we didn't necessarily have the necessary solution, right? We didn't have the same experience that we could tell people, well, I walked away from the corporate world in 9 months. Okay, we weren't at that point, or that we grew 2 Pro 8 business centers by the time we were 24 months in. That hadn't happened yet. So our story was a little bit different back then, but find out what your story is and really be good at telling it. And I tell people over and over again at like Lifevantage Academy, if you have children, you'll really relate to this. Or remember back to when you were a child, there's probably 1 or 2 stories that stick out in your mind that child or that you wanted to be read over and over and over again. And the first time you read that book to your child, you probably weren't that great at telling the story. But after you had told it a dozen times, and then 20 times, and then 50 times, you didn't even need to look at the pages anymore. The story just rolled off your lips, and you probably had different voices for every character, and the kid was just glued onto every word, and they wanted you to tell that story, and they begged you to tell the story because you were so good at it. For Michelle and I, it was a story called Mortimer. And it was about Mortimer going up into his room at night, and he was supposed to be laying in his bed, and all of a sudden his parents downstairs would hear all this noise, and clang, clang, rattle, bing, bang. The dad heard all this noise, and he came stomping up the stairs, and he yelled, "Mortimer, be quiet." And our kids, they wanted us to tell that story over and over and over again because we became great at telling the story. Okay? And that's what we're doing here. Get great at telling your story, the company story. Has the company story evolved? Yes. Okay, it's a way different company than it was 6.5 years ago. Okay, we're a $200 million company. Back then it was a $10 million company going to $40 million. We weren't on the NASDAQ yet, but the beginning story is the story. The ABC primetime story is the same story then as it is now. It aired in 2005. Did it change in 2017? No. Okay, and Carrie Dickey, we called her up all the time, and we'd be like, okay, what video are we sharing now, or what story? People want to know what we're doing now. And she would always pull us back and say, you guys, the story hasn't changed. Think about your kids. When your kids, you first started the business, I think they were 5 and 7, okay? Did their birth story change now that they're 10 and 13? No. Okay, their original story is their story, so stick to the story. And that's the ABC primetime video. That's why we still do it today, because it sets the foundation of where this company was, where it started, why people were so excited about what had been discovered. Okay, and then we can fill them up to date and where it's gone and where it's transformed from there and why it went off the retail shelves into network marketing. You know, why the struggle that they had with telling the story and nobody knew or understood this technology. And we have that ABC primetime report that they can see, and they can send people to at biohackingyourbody.com. It's right up here on the top left-hand side of the story. When we tell the company story, at first, let the ABC video story tell it, and then get third-party validation on the phone afterwards to fill in the blanks. What happened next? And you'll hear it. It's the same story over and over again. You know, we're now building the story about an Omega Plus product, and that's in addition to what we previously told. And so there's parts that we have to condense to be concise about the message and get it across, but it's the same story that we tell over and over and over again. And I promise you this, at this point, I could blindly tell somebody what's going on as I'm doing 3 other things about where this company was. Right? And that's where you need to become a professional story teller, and it'll change your life. And then the last part that a lot of people in our organization don't get great at is telling the business story, how to earn money, how to make money, how to get residual income in your life. And so if you aren't at that point, I would challenge you over the next 6 months to become a professional storyteller like you are with your story and the company story, with the business story. How do people get paid? Why is residual income important? Why is the elite bonus pool so awesome? Okay. And there's videos and stuff out there that until you become a professional on it, you don't have to know the first thing, but you do need to know where those tools are. I have a YouTube channel with Michelle, Shawn and Michelle Poe, that you can subscribe to. We've got over 100 different videos that you can look at. One of them's a compensation story that you can send people. We now have the corporate version of the compensation plan up there too. Send people to that, and you'll hear the information enough that eventually, piece by piece by piece, it fits in, and you'll be able to tell it without thinking about it as well. So become a professional storyteller. It'll change your life. Let's pause for a second. What do you got? What questions do you have? We went over inviting real quick, and we went over the importance of storytelling. What can I help with or expand on?
What if people ask more about the video? Like, if you tell them about the ABC report, what do you say if they ask, oh, what is it about?
They're not necessarily asking that, because my invite again was related to something specific in their life. So if Nate, if you tell me like you hate your job and you want out of it, and I say, are you serious about that? Are you just venting to me, or are you looking for a solution to this? And then you tell me, I'm serious about this. If I could find a solution, I would love to see what it is. I'm saying there's this ABC primetime report. It's going to blow your mind. You got to check it out. You're not asking me anymore about what it's about, because I just answered what your pain was with a solution. And so that's the difference. Is I'm not coming to you and just saying, Nate, you got to watch this ABC investigative report or this ABC primetime video. Okay, I'm already establishing the reason why you have to watch it and why it's important to you. So just this, I guess the structure of how you invite to somebody will help alleviate a lot of issues or roadblocks that people face, because when they start feeling like they're being sold, a wall comes up, and that's when you start getting a lot of questions, and you can pull it away from people. Carrie Dickey's an expert at that. We watched her over and over again at our house. When somebody kept just asking question after question after question before they had seen it, she'd take it away. She'd be like, never mind. I know that you're busy. I'm super busy myself. I really thought that you would find value in seeing it, but it's cool. Just forget that we had the conversation. And then they're like, no, I've got to see it. Okay. So sometimes that's a technique that you can use as well. But the more you just keep this very, very simplistic and very customized to their needs and their pains, the less roadblocks you'll get as far as getting them into that initial exposure to the ABC primetime video.
Hey, Shawn, I got another question.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts around, I know we're not trying to like change the story or retell it, like we want to tell the same company story here, but so if I'm talking to millennials, right, I live right across the street from ASU, a lot of them, the ABC primetime videos, not necessarily resonating a ton with, but what do you think about incorporating, because I mean, the company is really focusing on this biohacking, nutrigenomics, and that's resonating a lot with people. Wear my shirts, everybody asks. So what do you think about that video that Ryan Goodwin made when he's being interviewed in the radio station? And I know there's a couple of the corporate staff that also give an invite to join. Yeah. Do you think it's appropriate to use that with a millennial rather than the ABC video, or would you say just kind of stick with?
I would do it in addition. So, for them, it might be a very, very shortened version. It might be a 3-minute version of the ABC primetime video. But then it gives them kind of a little bit of framework and say, that isn't the one that's going to capture your heart. Okay, watch where this company is now. Fast forward 12 years, because I know that your generation doesn't want to be tied to a boss. You don't want to be in a cubicle farm. You don't want to be told where you need to be and show up for work. You want to work when you want, where you want to do it, and this is your ticket to it. And then you're following up with that as kind of the, here's what millennials want, right? So that's how I would approach it. I would still use at least the ABC, you know, as a little bit of a teaser and setting it up, and, you know, even laughing at them, you know, about it, that, you know, yeah, this is a decade plus old, and, you know, you've got the Superman complex. Your body isn't breaking down right now, but when's the best time to take care of it? Now or when it's breaking down? So that's how I would transition into it. All tools, all bullets that we have, right? Great questions, you guys. What else? Good with follow-up now? So let's move forward on the follow-up. So follow up, then follow up some more. Again, people are not coming off your database. And as social marketing becomes more and more prevalent in people's lives, they used to say it took like 4 or 5, 6 exposures for somebody to make a buying decision. I've read studies now that it's 15, 16, even 20 times, because we're constantly inundated with short marketing clips all the time when we're browsing the internet or scrolling through Facebook, things like that. And we don't even look at most of what's going on. But that thing that's been shown to us that follows us all around the internet, after the 15th or 20th exposure, we're finally clicking on it to see what it's about. So keep in mind that you are not going to get the majority of people to sign up the first time that you introduce this information. So the follow-up is your fortune. We're signing up people now, you guys, that we've talked to 3, 4, 5 years into the business, that something's different in their life now, or maybe they've seen that we've had success. This isn't the flavor of the month. We know what we're doing. Or maybe, you know, something changed on the health side of things, and now, you know, they're at a point that they want to integrate and be proactive, or they want to take care of something else that's already occurring in their life. For whatever reason is, this is the importance of your database never going away and following up with people. So what I tell people is that first exposure, people are going to fall into one of 3 categories. They're a yes, they're a no, or they're a maybe, okay? The no's, that's cool. You know, all my obligation was to share the information with you. What you do with it is completely up to you. I just didn't want you to call me back in 2 or 3 years and say, why didn't you share with me? You have the information, and that's cool. We'll still hang out, have beer, and drink football together, whatever it is, okay? But what I would ask of you is, if something changes in your life or you become interested in this down the road, just come back to me. You know, I shared this with you first, and I would really like that opportunity if something changes. And maybe, could I ask you, if something changes with the company, maybe we come out with a new product or there's new science, maybe I could just follow up with you in 5 or 6 months and just kind of let you know where we're at and what's changed. Is that okay? And I've had very, very little resistance to somebody saying that I can't follow up with them in 6 months from now to update them, or asking their permission that, you know, if something changes in their life, that they're going to come back to me. So that's what I'm doing with the no's, to keep them on my database and allowing me to follow up with them. Maybe it's 3 months from now, maybe it's 6 months from now. Okay. The maybes, we're following up with them, and we're giving them some kind of idea of what they need to do between the follow-up. So if somebody is interested but they're not ready yet, they're not a yes, they're not a no, we need to find out exactly what it is that, you know, is standing between them being a yes or a no. And once we understand that, let's say it's the science. Well, you know, I just want a chance to look at the science and see really what this is. Well, chances are they're not going to go through every single study that's out there and read 20+ studies. So I would offer them and say, maybe, could I send you 2 or 3 abstracts? I know that you're busy and your time's really valuable. If I sent you 3 abstracts on the studies, do you think you could read those? Tonight's Monday, by Thursday. You know, just squeeze it in. It'll probably take you 20 or 30 minutes to read those abstracts, and then just touch base with you on Thursday and see what you think. But if we just blindly let them walk away and we don't know why they're not a yes or a no, we don't know how to follow up, and then it becomes awkward. And the follow-up, you guys, I want you to understand this as well too. We're not building this business overnight. Treat this like a 3 to 5 year plan, and that will allow you to maintain the relationships in a much better way, okay? And you're not calling somebody. Following up 5 times doesn't mean you call them up 5 times in one day, or 5 times in a week so that you can check off the box that I've followed up with them over and over again. Allow the relationship to continue to exist, because if you maintain the relationship and you stay in this for the long run, that's where you'll start signing people up 2 years later, because you haven't been a pain. You haven't made them avoid your calls or your messages or your texts, whatever it is. So be cognizant of what's happening in that relationship. And anytime you feel like the relationship is starting to turn sour because you're too persistent or you're too tenacious in building it, back off a little bit or ask adult questions. Okay, adult questions are going to get you adult answers. Hey, I kind of feel like you're avoiding me. Maybe I've talked a little bit too much about Lifevantage with you lately. Honestly, your relationship with me is way more important than being a customer or a business partner of mine. If that's the case, could you just please let me know? And they'll tell you. Okay, they'll say maybe, yeah, you know, you've been a pain in my butt and I don't want to hear about it. Okay, and then you're asking for permission. I totally get it. My obligation was to share the information. I know it's not for you right now. Would you do me the favor, if something changes, come back to me? Or, you know, could I just follow up in 6 months and kind of update you on what's going on? And maybe the answer isn't that, though. You asked that adult question. I kind of sense that our relationship isn't as good as it was because maybe I was being too aggressive with this. If that's the case, I'd really like to know. And maybe they just say, no, you know, I'm super busy right now and my life is complicated. This and that's going on. I just don't have the time to dedicate it to it. So, you know, that's why I haven't been following up or calling back or returning your texts. So adult questions are going to get adult answers for the most part. Anytime you feel like the relationship is being turned off by what you're doing, pull back a little bit. Don't be as aggressive. Give it time to build itself over the course of time. It doesn't have to be built in 4 months, because if you build it like that, you can jeopardize relationships, and this is a relationship business. So if the relationship no longer exists, they might fall off your database. Okay, does that make sense? We good? We good? Okay, closing and resolving concerns. You will probably not be good at closing and resolving concerns. Okay, when you first start the business, accept that as a fact. Okay, unless you are one of the just a genius at network marketing and you have that gene, you will probably not be good at doing this. That's why you need third-party validation, because I promise you, I can ask your family and friends if they're ready to join the business, and it doesn't bother me what their response is. I'm not ashamed to ask them if they're ready to invest $1,200 into changing their life. I'm not embarrassed to tell them this is network marketing and see what they like about it or what they don't, answer their questions. So if you can use third-party validation on this, I promise you, you'll get more people saying yes than you would on your own. When we first started with network marketing, there wasn't one of my friends that if you asked them to write down 5 characteristics of Shawn Poe, that they would have been, okay, yes, he's a network marketing expert. He knows everything about nutraceuticals. He's really got a grasp of this industry. None of that, okay, because that wasn't me. And they had a concrete idea in their head of what I knew and what I didn't know. And network marketing and nutraceuticals were not things that they thought that I knew about, and I didn't. Okay, but the reality is I could get them on the phone with a complete stranger who maybe didn't know any more than I did, but they didn't have those concrete ideas in their head of what they knew and what they didn't know. So hearing it from a stranger allowed them to break down that wall and to be like, okay, I'm open to hearing what they're saying, okay? And over the course of time, you'll be able to do more of this, but we still, to this date, always use some sort of third-party validation throughout the course of us getting the information in front of people, and especially if we need to help get somebody closed or resolving their concerns, is saying, hey, great question, you know, I know who the perfect person to answer that would be. Now, the key with getting third-party validation on the phone is not asking for permission. If you ask one of your friends or family if you can get a stranger on the phone, what's their likely answer? No, don't do that. I can just get it, I can look it up, or you can just tell me whatever it is. So we used to just, you know, we would have that person available and expecting our call. We built a lot of this over the telephone, and so we might say, hey, Mark and Joanne and Carrie, we're going to be calling people from 9 to 10 o'clock tonight. Would you be available for third party if we need it? and one of them, you know, would figure it out, or if none of them were available, they would help us find somebody that would be. And so as we're having that conversation with them, they've seen the ABC Primetime video. We've asked them what they liked best about it, and now they're getting into the question mode. And we could honestly say, when we first started, I don't know. You know, I'm really new to this. I'm excited. I'm super passionate. Hold on a second. Great question. And then we're dialing up somebody else, third-party validation. They don't know why we put them on hold, actually, because we didn't tell them. We didn't ask for permission. One of my kids could have been running down the hallway with a pair of scissors for all they know, and I told them to hold on. And then I'm getting somebody else on the phone, and I'm saying, hey, you know, we were just talking about this, and I want you to meet my good business partner. She's super busy, but she actually can relate to what you were just talking about in your question about Axio and ADHD. Okay, she's had experience with this herself, and I know she's going to be the perfect person. Find some sort of connection that makes sense for them to quickly talk to each other, and don't expect them to be on the phone for 2 hours, right? Try to make it quick and concise. If it ends up going longer, great. But recognize that people are busy, and if they want to take more time, they will. But ask question after question after question. And as they ask questions, you can use that bottom right technique of feel, felt, found. So for me, like I didn't like network marketing, or I had a negative stigma attached to it. I didn't have a reason why. I had security licenses in the past. I understood business, and when I looked at the financials, they stunk. Back in 2011, there were some questionable things that were going on financially, and I didn't know. I told Michelle, I don't know if they'll open the company doors next month, let alone next year. But they got me connected with Carrie Williams, and she answered my questions, and she, you know, used things like feel, felt, found. I can see how you feel, you know, that way. I felt the same way. What I actually found is this. You know, the company, they put out all these options and warrants to private investors to keep the doors open because the retail channels weren't working. And that's why it went into person-to-person distribution, because there was a story to be told. And sitting on the shelves of GNC, nobody was walking in asking for a bottle of oxidative stress reducer, right? That just wasn't reality, and that was causing the business to go bankrupt. So understand with them, if you don't have that same feeling, you can relate it to somebody else that you know. You know, hey, I honestly, I wasn't in that position when I first got started, but my friend Gigi from Fiji, you know, she felt the same way. And what she found as she went along with this was Michelle and I's heart. It wasn't to get people roped into a network marketing business. It was to lock arms with people that want to change the world. And things like that. So again, you're using that feel, felt, found approach to resolve concerns and validate the concern. Don't tell them it's a stupid, you know, concern. Validate it. Let them know that it's okay to think like that, but find a way to navigate it and turn it into a positive aspect. And then you've got to ask the closing questions, or have somebody on the phone that's willing to do it. You know, somebody could be totally excited about it and ready to buy, but if you're not asking the closing question or getting them to the process of knowing whether they're a yes or a no or a maybe, it does you no good. They just have information at that point. So things that you could do is ask them, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you? And anything above a 3 is pretty good. And maybe they say a 6 or a 7, and ask them, why aren't you a 3? And then they're going to frame it in positive light instead of saying, okay, you're a 7, why aren't you a 10? That's looking for the negative. That's looking for the holes. But if you say, okay, you're a 6, why didn't you say 2? Then they're going to tell you the positive things, and you can work around the positive to get them to that point. And you know, you might be surprised, and they're like, I'm a 9, I'm ready to get started right now. And unless you ask the questions or have somebody on the call to ask the questions, you might not know. And again, third party, it's way easier for me to ask. I struggle even today to ask my friends for $1,250 to get started. But I know if I get, you know, Dr. Gordon on the phone, he's going to ask that question, and he's going to get people into the system as fast as possible. So does that make sense? We good with closing and resolving concerns? This is a 10,000-foot overview. You're going to continue to learn 7 years into the business like Michelle and I are. Okay, you're not going to be an expert, but I want you to know these tools are in place and they work. And if we all use the same messaging as we go about doing the business, that's why we put this PDF file together. It's no different than the blueprint, you guys. We just want you to have a source at your hands that as soon as you sign somebody up, they might not have their business pack yet. They might not have anything, and this can walk them through immediately how to do it. Or you're looking to reset your business and this just shapes it a little bit differently and asks you different questions or gives you different advice on how to build the business. But this is no different than what we did 6.5 years ago. Accountability. Hold yourself accountable to the immediate progress, okay? And one of the key differences is action versus activity. We have people that come in and they get ready to get ready, right? They're getting organized, they're getting their office clean, they're learning about new studies, they're printing out this, they're watching that YouTube video. None of that is truly directly building their business. It might be building their belief, but that's activity, not action. To me, action is sharing the ABC prime time with somebody new. It's following up with somebody who's already seen the information, and it's personal growth. Those are the three things that regardless where you're at in the business, if you're not doing those three things, you're doing activity. You're not doing action steps to move your business forward. And that would be my biggest advice to anybody is if you're not where you want to be, is look, are you doing these three actions on a regular basis? Now, some people are doing this full time. And so on a daily basis, they might be doing step 1, step 2, step 3, sharing the ABC, following up, personal growth. You might only have 2 to 5 hours a week dedicated to this because you're doing it very part-time. But I'm telling you, in the time that you're dedicating to this, make sure those hours are filled up with action and not activity. You can do activity on the hours that, you know, you can't get a hold of people, or maybe you're not in the right mindset and you know, a YouTube video is going to pump you back up, you know, something like that. But don't make that your full-time portion of doing this business. You need to dedicate the majority of your time to those three action steps. And if anybody asks us, this is something that we've been trying to integrate into our organization over the past several years, actually. If we can duplicate this, I tell you, the momentum phase will take off. Is every single person you talk to within your organization should be able to answer the same answer to this question. What should we do on a daily basis? What is our daily method of operation? And it's these three things: sharing the video, following up with somebody who's already seen the information, and personal growth. If your organization is doing those three things on a consistent and a regular basis, you will see things explode because you'll get it in front of enough people and take them through enough parts of the process to find other people that see it like you see it. Okay, the very bottom portion of this, the bottom right, is talking about if you're ready to commit. We've now spent, you guys, we've gone an hour and 15 minutes. You can probably go through some of these steps a little bit faster with people, but now we want to take them to where are you? Are you ready to commit to this as a business? Because if you're going to treat this like a business, there's very specific things that I would suggest that you do. If you want to treat it like a hobby, it'll pay like a hobby. If you want to treat it like a part-time job, it'll probably pay like a part-time job. If you want to treat this like a multi-million-dollar business, here's what you need to be ready to commit to, and walk them through the process of enrolling. I want to sign you up for the next Elite Academy. Okay, the next Elite Academy is in February in Indianapolis. These are approximately every 4 months. In 2018, we have one in February, one in July, and one in October. It's like 12 days out of the year. Can you commit? And I'm not talking about on the financial side right now. I'm talking about, you know, maybe just buying the ticket. Because we have a roadmap in place that if you reinvest the commission money between now and February, I promise you, if we do the steps properly, we will get the money into your pocket. I would rather have somebody tell me all day long, I can't get time off work, than I don't have money. Because I can show somebody how to make money if they work with me, and if they get me on the phone with their contacts and they share the ABC video and then connect me with that person to walk them through the process and resolve their concerns, they're going to get a ton of customers and they're going to get a few distributors. Okay. But the next step is signing up for Lifevantage Academies. Okay. Are you committed to really learning about this business? I'm not bringing in a bunch of professional network marketers, and I don't think most people in my organization are. And if you're not, they need the basic building blocks over and over and over again. You guys, I've heard this information, the same information over and over again, 8 to 9 times a year for the past 6.5 years. I could repeat it, and I do. I train it. This is what I'm training you on. This is what I train at LVAs. But I still show up to every single Lifevantage Academy. If I'm not training it, I show up in my market, because even though I know the information, there might be that nugget or that inspiration somebody else provides. But bigger than that, if my group doesn't see me placing value and importance and taking time out to learn that on a consistent basis, why would they place it? Okay, never expect anybody in your organization to do things that you're not willing to do. So make that a priority, that regardless if you don't even take one nugget out of it, that you're there and you're showing up because you're placing importance, and you want your team there because they will learn things from it, and they will learn how to do this business right. So 2018, it's always the third Saturday of every month that we don't have a major convention or elite academy, and we don't do it in December. So there's not a ton of months. We've got January, none in February. We've got March, April, May, June. There's not one in July because there's an elite academy. There's August, September. There's not one in October, and there's one in November. So I think that's like 8. Asking somebody to commit to 8 Saturdays out of 52 is not a huge deal if they want to grow a multi-million-dollar business and put, you know, $2,000 or $5,000 residually in their pocket every month. That's not a huge expectation. And then setting up a couple different home meetings. Okay, we've talked about the invite. We've talked about databasing. They haven't done it yet, so we've got to set up times. And this goes back even to that very first page where we talked about how fast you want your return on investment by. Okay, if they're telling you they want their return on investment this month, they better set up 2 things on page 10, 2 different times that you can have meetings. It might be an in-home meeting. It might be a webinar. It might be a conference call. Whatever it is, they need to establish 2 times. So then when they're inviting and somebody says, well, I'm not free Thursday, but you can come back and say, well, that's totally cool. I'm going to have the same thing going on Saturday. You know, do you have 45 minutes to an hour on Saturday? And then you have 2 times to invite them to while you're going through that first process. But if you don't have those initially set up, the chances of somebody doing it the first month aren't as high. So get those done right away while it's fresh on their mind, while they're excited, while they're hot. Figure out, you know, I can do it on Tuesday and I can do it on Saturday. We've already got them established. If you can get them a check in their hand that first week, I'm telling you, it'll keep them in the business probably for 2 years. Just that first check of knowing that they got people on the phone, on the conference call, on the webinar. They might not have got any distributors, but chances are they get 10 people on a webinar, they're going to get a few customers that are willing to see what it does for them. So set up those, establish those, get them commit to these 4 things, and let them know the importance of doing these and investing back into themselves. Any questions on that before we move to the last page here? You guys are like, just stop talking, Shawn. It's been an hour and 20 minutes. We good?
I have a question. Hi.
Yeah, go ahead.
John, on the webinars, are we allowed to invite people in their home with, you know, just give them the information to get on a webinar because we know they're interested?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We don't have to be with them or them in our home. We can give them the information.
Yeah, I mean, to me, anytime that I can be person to person, I try to. But Michelle and I, we didn't grow up in South Dakota, so a lot of the people that we were sharing the information with might have been in Wyoming or Colorado or Wisconsin. They weren't even here where it was reasonable for us to be face to face with them. So it was getting them on a conference call, getting them on a webinar. But we don't want to be. We want that to be the message and not us delivering the message. I'm super excited about this. Me and Michelle are doing a new business. You're one of the sharpest business people I know. I want your opinion on what we're doing. Could you be on a conference call that's happening this Thursday night? Are you free for like 45 minutes or half an hour? I'd love your opinion. You know?
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep, something like that. I think there was one more question.
Hi, it's just Shannon.
Hey,
So,
what's up?
hi. My question is, what are you guys using to keep track of all of your potential customers and your customers? Are you keeping like a spreadsheet, some other sort of database?
Yes. So we've got some really cool tools now with the different apps that we have in place that kind of keep track for you. We didn't have those when we first started. And I'll be honest, I was probably more organization by chaos, where I had a paper here, a paper there, a paper there. And all of a sudden you've talked to 30 people and you don't remember where you are in the process with any of them.
That's pretty much how it is.
Yeah. So Michelle came up with a really, really cool idea with recipe card boxes and index cards. And she had 12 different labels in there for each month. So January through December. And she would just write on the index card where she was at the process with that person, what was going on and what the next step was or any homework she gave them. And then if she was going to follow up with them still in that month, she would just put them at the end of that month and just rotate them to the back and continue to call people and touch base with people. Or maybe it was a couple months out. They're busy now, but touch base in 3 months. And so she would move it from, November to next January. And she had a very organized system that way of just rotating people through, making sure they weren't falling through the cracks. So, whatever's comfortable for you. Some people are really good at, electronic spreadsheets and putting people into electronic spreadsheets, or maybe, buying just a book that you're writing everything in. Whatever works for you, the apps. But the more that you write down, the easier it will be to remember where you are in the process for that person as you expose it to a lot of people. Great questions. What else you got? Okay, let's finish this up. Resources. So different social media things that we have, different calls, different trainings. Let them know what's going on within our organization so they can plug into the system and learn as they can. Some of this stuff they might be able to listen to live. Some of it they might have to get replays on. But if they're plugged in, they cannot blame you for not having the tools, okay? It's up to them to use the tools at that point. So things that we have going on a weekly basis. You guys, we've been doing a Sunday night training every single Sunday, I think, for 5+ years now. Okay, and we've opened up that. It's now pretty much anybody that wants to underneath Stu Brody down can join in on this. Anybody that's involved in our Facebook group that's not even in Stu's organization, but that's every Sunday night. It's 8:30 Central to 9 o'clock. Joanne Shear Parkin and I did it last night. We usually have some sort of business side, something that we went through tonight as one of the first topics, the first 15 minutes, and the second 15 minutes is usually dedicated to one of the products and somebody explaining the behind the scenes behind this. Every single one of these Sunday night trainings, we then post to our YouTube channel, Shawn and Michelle Poe. You subscribe to that, you'll see as I update those, you'll get notification that there's a new one. So if you're not on it live, there's no excuse not to watch 30 minutes sometime throughout the week. Michelle used to do it when we were getting the kids ready for school, or she would listen to trainings that people were doing after the kids were in bed, or while we're doing laundry, cleaning the house, whatever it is, cooking dinner. Find a way to just have it playing somewhere in your car. A lot of you commute, you spend time in vehicles. You can, play it on your phone. You don't have to be watching, listen to the information. Monday motivational call. Now, this isn't necessarily training. It could be more of the mindset portion of this, but Carrie, Dickey, and Stu have been doing this for, I think, 7+ years now. Every Monday morning from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Sometimes it's giving updates on what's going on in the company. Sometimes it's, personal testimonials on how Nerf 2 activations changed their life, or getting residual income, whatever it is. It's usually geared upon a lot of different people within the group coming together and just sharing what's going on and the excitement and the passion and firing people up for the week. And what a better time than to do it right away on Mondays. That replay, Stu Brody will always send it out from emails. If as long as you haven't blocked the corporate emails, it'll come from a Hava and Associate. Associates, AHAVA, I think, Ahava and Associates. So Stu sends that out. And then the Thursday night opportunity call. It's a 30-minute version of going through the story, okay, without the ABC primetime. So the expectation is somebody has already watched it or they're going to watch it immediately after. But we tend to just have somebody watch it prior, get them on the conference call. We did a lot of this as third-party validation for us early on in learning how to tell the company story. It's almost always a Pro 7, 8, 9, or 10 that's doing it. But that's been going on every Thursday night for the last 7 years as well. So the number for that is on there as well in the access code. You'll see the Monday and Thursday. It's the exact same dial-in number, the exact same access code. And then you'll see the Sunday night training Zoom for us is actually the exact same number that you guys use to get on this training. WhatsApp. Michelle uses this a ton in our group to get people informed on what's going on. They have to have her as a contact in their phone, and she has to have it in hers. But once they're added in there, they're going to receive all the updates on what's going on, meetings, important corporate announcements, whatever the case is. She sends out usually an update at least a day through that channel. And then the different various Facebook groups. We didn't put them all on here, but here's a few of them that we utilize. And I guess right before that, onepersonbigdifference.net. That website is not up currently, but it is in the process of having a one-stop shop for all the research, all the training materials. We're going to have a ton of different videos that are put together on there. Things like this will be on there. We'll break it down step by step by step. So if somebody says, I need just databasing, they can go to a databasing link and they can see different pro audios or master tracks or Elite Academy presentations, whatever it is. They'll be able to find those tools there. So look for that coming up hopefully very, very soon. But onepersonbigdifference.net will be a group website that people can go to get information from, and then the different Facebook groups there. And then the bottom right is just recommended books. Carrie Dickey wrote The View from Venus. I mean, she's been one of our biggest business mentors throughout this entire process. She knows what she's doing. She's created millions in various companies. She is an industry expert. She's one of the top people in the world in network marketing, okay? And she's in our organization. I love it. Then the first year in network marketing, Mark Yarnell. I actually read this about a year into the business, and I would have loved to have known what was in that book, First Year of Network Marketing, in the first year, because there's a lot of stuff that he goes through that I found out on my own because I didn't know what I didn't know. Okay, and it's real. If you want the big version of this, it's probably like 400 pages. I think the audio's like 24 hours, but there's an abridged version that's very condensed, and it's easy reading. Just take a chapter a day for the first week, 2 weeks, and you'll be through it in no time. And then GoPro, we share this with almost every new distributor that we have. Eric Worre, awesome industry information, and just, again, getting information to people that aren't coming in as professional network marketers. I think it is important to set the expectation of what they're going to experience, what they're going to feel, and that it's normal. It's okay for them to have rejection. It's okay for them to have, concern and fears and things like that. The last one we have on this is John Maxwell. We just got done with him doing huge trainings for the last 3 Lifevantage events, the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. Okay, and so I think that that's awesome business stuff. We could have had one page just listed here on different personal growth things. So if you run out of books, reach out to us. We can give you tons and tons of different books. Go online, go on YouTube, find a guru or a business mentor that you just relate to. And there's going to be tons and tons of different motivational things that you can find out there that don't cost a dime. So invest in yourself. Don't do this alone. Follow the system. It works. And get your people plugged into the system. And if you don't know how to do it, reach out and let somebody know. Raise your hand and say, I need help with this. I need help with that. Because, you know, a lot of the times when you look at our organizations, they start to get to a point where it's hard to be proactive with every single distributor that's in our group. And so we don't know that, you know, this group over here is struggling with closing, or this group really is struggling with inviting people, or they need somebody to do webinars or do different trainings like this. This came about, you guys, this training, because Gigi from Fiji raised her hand and said, I need this training. My group needs this training. And she was kind enough to say, open it up and let's get everybody on here to learn together. And so because she raised her hand and she said, I need this training, this is why we took out, you know, the last hour and a half to spend time with you guys, going through the step-by-step process of what we should be doing with new distributors as they come in. So thank you, Gigi, for telling us what you need. And I'm telling you guys, the more we know on what we can do to help you grow our business, the more you'll see out there, because we want to help you guys. We want you to know, we want to pour into you exactly like was poured into us. We're, you know, I think experts within the industry at this time in our lives, but we weren't. And we understand what it's like to start. We understand what it's like to struggle and to be stuck and to not go as fast as you want it to go. So the more that we can help, the better. And we are here to truly help you guys. So let's wrap it up with a question or two. If you have anything else, we'll get the recording out to everybody. We'll get it posted to YouTube. I can't believe that 90 minutes went that quick. And I appreciate you guys sticking around for the full 90 minutes and being on here, because it shows me that this was valuable for you. So what can we wrap this up with? I think here, let me unmute you, Gigi. Were you talking?
Yes.
Okay, I got you unmuted.
I just wanted to say thank you for spending this time with us, you know, not feeling well, and you could never tell. There's definitely a passion in your heart for this. It's unbelievable. But this blueprint, how y'all have streamlined it, it's very good. It makes it simple.
Awesome.
And one of the things that I found, and the more times that we sort of get into the complication of it, is when everything gets backed off, and keeping it simple is key, I think. And this is very good information here. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. And we can go over this again and again and break it down step by step throughout, you know, a 10-week process, whatever we need to do to get people familiar with it, because she is exactly right. If we make this too complex, there's two things that will stop people in their tracks. The first one is fear. The second one is not knowing what to do or feeling it's too complicated. It will absolutely freeze them in your tracks. So keep this as simple as possible. Get down to the basics. Anytime something's falling apart or it doesn't feel like it's working, you've got to analyze which one of these steps are we leaving out, or are we not doing? Is it we're not using third-party validation, we're not closing, we're not you know, inviting properly, I'm using the excuse that my database is gone. Think through what one of these steps do I need to go back to and pretend like I'm the brand new distributor and do it right. So I love that. Thank you, Gigi.
Thank you.
Can't believe we met just a few months ago. Seems like I've known you for years. I love it. I love this business.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. I'll stop the screen sharing so we can actually see each other for a second. We good? Thumbs up if we're good.
Thumbs up. Here's Elise.
Hey, what's up, daughter?
Hello, father. So when you were saying, Shawn, that you can do this, you know, anytime, anywhere, it was funny because I've driven to dance to pick up Elise and was watching and listening to you. I put Callista to bed, got her all showered up and fed. She's asleep now. Got Elise home, did some homework, and been eating and doing things. And it's just been wonderful to listen and hear all the questions that everybody's had. But that's just the thing is you can do this anytime, anywhere. I mean, I listened to trainings, like Shawn said, while I was folding clothes and, you know, doing laundry and cooking dinner. And all these different things. And it's just, you know, take the time for you. You matter. This is so important. I heard in the beginning, you know, talking about being bazooka proof, Shawn, and that's how you do become, is just by staying plugged in. So just stay plugged in. The motivational calls on Monday, we never miss them. Thursday night at 8:30 Central, live opportunity calls, we never ever miss them. Sunday night training calls, we never miss them. And it's just so important. And if you can't, life happens. Of course, if you can't get on live because you're working or doing things, my goal every single day was to make sure that whatever happened that day, I listened to that night or at that next thing that morning, because life happens and you just get so busy, and then you'll feel overwhelmed if you didn't get to listen to that days, and then you've got a couple of them to listen to, and then you've got so much time in. So I just wanted to say that, and I just want to tell you all that we love you so much, and just keep letting us know how we can help you, and bless you all. And Shawn, thank you for, like Gigi said, pouring into everybody while you had that headache of yours today. So
all good, all good. I just need to pop my ears at this point. All right, we good. And here's the reality, you guys. This does take effort, it takes dedication, and it takes commitment. And if you want to live like few people live, you've got to be willing to do what few people are willing to do. And that's the reality of this. I mean, the people that I've seen have tremendous success in this business, it wasn't by accident. It wasn't by luck. Okay, they had a burning desire, and they worked relentlessly to change their life. And you've got to do it in the nooks and crannies of your life, because most people aren't doing this full time. But if that means getting up just a half an hour earlier every day so that you can do something in the morning and free up a half an hour at night, do that. If it means, you know, taking a little bit less of a break time, or turning off the radio to make hands-free calls while you're driving, things like that, you have time. I promise you, if somebody tells you that they're too busy, it's BS. We all have 24 hours in a day. It's what we choose to dedicate that time towards. We had no time in our life when this fell into our laps. We had 2 full-time jobs. We had an online business, 2 little kids. We had a girl living with us from Spain. But we found the importance of this, and we carved out time on a consistent basis. So it doesn't have to be that you're dedicating 4 or 5 hours a day to this. If you could carve out a half an hour over the period of a year, what you could do on a consistent basis with a consistent half an hour is incredible. So invest in yourself. Know that great things don't come out without great sacrifice, and give yourself the time and the patience and love that it isn't going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. Okay. All right. That's it. I got to stop talking so I can get the processing going on this out to you. Again, thank you for your time. I know that there were a ton of different things you could have been doing for the past hour and 40 minutes, but you decided to learn about this and train on this. Let's get this out to your teams. Let us know what else we can do to help support you and grow you and get you where you want to get. So with that, we are out. There we go.
Good night, everybody.
Love y'all.
Thank you. Good to see your faces.